Hello guys, I am Gopal and welcome back on the RC channel. In today's video, we discuss about the accounting standard 10 property, plant and equipment. So guys, before starting the video, please download the notes provided in the description box and also subscribe our channel so you cannot miss any notification by the RC channel. So guys, accounting standard 10 is basically result of the accounting standard 6 and accounting standard 10 old that is applicable for the fixed asset. Before introduction of the accounting standard 10 property, plant and equipment, there are two accounting standards are existed in our syllabus, that is accounting standard 6 and accounting standard 10. Accounting standard 6 is basically applicable for the depreciation and accounting standard 10 is basically applicable for the accounting for the fixed asset. So guys, these two accounting standards are combined and one accounting standard is introduced in that place, that is accounting standard 10 applicable for the property, plant and equipment. So guys, we discussed the objective of the accounting standard 10. There are four objectives of the accounting standard 10. First of them is prescribe accounting treatment for the property, plant and equipment so that users of the financial statement can recognize the information about the investment made by the entity in PPE and changes in such investment. So guys, basic objective of this standard is to prescribe the accounting treatment for the investment made by the entity in its property, plant and equipment and changes in such investment are occurred during the financial year. So guys, next objective is determination of the carrying amount of the property, plant and equipment. There are a procedure laid down by the accounting standard 10 how to determine the carrying amount and how to represent it in financial statement. So guys, next objective is computation of the depreciation. This accounting standard also laid down the procedure applicable for the computation of the depreciation. What amount should be taken for the depreciation, what useful life should be considered for the depreciation, what are the other factors that are considered for the depreciation, what cost to be added in the fixed asset while calculating the depreciation, or what costs are excluded from the fixed asset while calculating the depreciation. All such things are provided in the accounting standard 10, that is property, plant and equipment. So guys, next and last objective is recognition of the impairment loss. This is a new concept. Basically this is concept come from the Indian accounting standard. So guys, provision for the impairment of losses are also provided in this accounting standard 10. So guys, now we discuss about the applicability and non-applicability of the accounting standard 10. Accounting standard basically apply to property, plant and equipment if there is no specific accounting standard are applicable for such transaction. So guys, we know that there is a lease transaction occurred in our business. There is a specific accounting standard that is applicable for the lease, that is accounting standard 19. In such case, recognition of the lease, disclosure of regarding the lease and various treatment about the leases are provided in accounting standard 19, but depreciation on such lease are provided in the accounting standard 10. So guys, any accounting standard are not applicable for the any property, plant and equipment, then there is a accounting standard 10 is suo motu applicable to that asset. For example, fixed asset purchased by an entity, that asset are not considered as a lease under accounting standard 19. So guys, there is a accounting standard 10 is by default applicable. So guys, before the apply the provision and all rules and regulation of the accounting standard 10, we must know that this accounting standard is applicable to such asset or not. Now we study the non-applicability of this accounting standard. So this accounting standard are specifically not applicable to biological asset. Biological asset are asset that is related to the agricultural activity. So guys, this accounting standard is not applicable to biological asset, and meaning of the biological asset means the asset that are related to the agricultural activity. And this is not also applicable to the wasting asset, including the mineral right expenditure on the exploration for and extraction of the mineral, oil and natural gases and similar non-regenerative resources. Because guys, when we take a example of the coal mine are provided by the central government to the various business entity as on lease for the 99 years, 49 years, 150 years. So guys, in such case applicable as 10 is not logical. There is a special standard for that transaction, that is accounting standard 19. So guys, now we understand the meaning of the property, plant and equipment. What is the property, plant and equipment under the accounting standard 10? Now guys, we understand the meaning of the property, plant and equipment. As on screen you can see that there is a wonderful diagram drawn by me. So guys, it is an asset which is tangible and not an intangible asset, because there is a special accounting standard applicable to intangible asset, that is accounting standard 26. So for us, intangible asset are the out of purview of the accounting standard 10. So property, plant and equipment means a asset that is tangible asset, that is not include intangible asset, held for or hold for giving on the rent of investing property, second for administrative purpose, and third for production of the goods or providing of the services. So guys, tangible asset are also hold for or held for minimum 12 months, so that we consider that asset as a property, plant and equipment under the AS 10. So guys, property, plant and equipment basically a asset that is tangible in nature and that is held for the giving on rent, for administrative purpose, for production of the goods and providing of the various services, and that are hold for the minimum 12 months. So guys, from this diagram you can understand the definition of the property, plant and equipment. So what is the meaning of the administrative purpose asset? Administrative purpose asset are includes the asset that is basically used for the selling and distribution, finance and account, personnel and other functional departmental in the organization, safety and environment purposes. So guys, admin purposes asset specifically excludes production of the goods or rendering the services and rental of others property. So guys, here we also cover the meaning of the administrative purpose asset. So guys, next here we compare the accounting standard 10 versus accounting standard 13. So guys, accounting standard 13 is basically applicable to the investment in the property. So suppose my firm is the RCA firm which invest in the property, and that property I give on the rent. So guys, in such case, that is a property for the investment property, and that property is come under the purview of the property, plant and equipment for me, because that asset are taken by me for the giving on the rent. From such property I gain the rent and other revenues. From this point of view, that asset are come under the property, plant and equipment definition laid down by the accounting standard 10. So guys, that property are not covered under the accounting standard 13. This is most important point for us guys. In last slide you show that first point we can see there, property which is a investment property held for the giving on the rent. So guys, this is a specifically asset covered under the Indian AS 10. So we can say that the property which is investment property held by me or my firm for the purpose of the earning any extra income in form of the rent or lease, so that asset are come under the purview of the accounting standard 10. So guys, an investment property is a account or in accordance with the cost model as prescribed in accounting standard 10. Property, plant and equipment, the cost of any shares in cooperative society or a company, the holding of which is directly related to the right to hold the investment property and added to the carrying amount of the investment property. So what is next? Investment property is an investment in the land or building, as we discussed earlier, that are not occupied for the use by or in the operation of the investing enterprises. If a company purchase land or building not for its business use but for the earning the rent by the letting out of land or building, or even if building is not to be let out but held with the intention to earn capital appreciation. So guys, as earlier we discussed, my firm, the RCA firm, take any asset for the purpose of the letting it out on rent or for the purpose of the earning capital gain, then such asset are come under the purview of the investment asset, investment property under the accounting standard 10. So accounting standard 10 is suo motu applicable in such case, and that is considered as a property, plant and equipment for me. This is the most important point. On this concept, there is a chances to ask the case law type question in the examination for the 5 to 6 marks. So guys, be prepared for the any type of the question which might be asked our institution in the examination. So guys, now we understand the meaning of the biological asset. Biological asset, we are the commerce background student and we don't know the what is biological asset. So guys, biological asset basically a livestock or plant or tree. So in case of the livestock, AS 10 is applicable. So if I am an agriculturist and I have assets like cow, bulls and goats, etc. So that livestock is a asset for me because I have earned profit, I have used them into my business and I have earned revenue from them. So guys, they are considered as a property, plant and equipment for the point of view of the accounting standard 10. So guys, next is plant and tree. Plant and tree again divided into two basic part, that is bearer plant and not bearer plant. So bearer plant is a plant that plant use in the production supply of the agricultural produce. Next, plant expected to bear the produce for the more than a period of the 12 months. In this case, we can take an example of the oranges plant and a mangoes plant, and also we take the example of coconut plant that is used more than the 12 months period. So that plant is a bearer plant. On from that plant I can gain a revenue. Next is plant having a remote likelihood or being sold as a agricultural produce except the incidental scrap sale. So guys, basically bearer plant is a plant from that I earn the revenue. Suppose guys, you have an agriculturist and you have a 150 mango trees in your agriculture land. In such case, every summer season there is a production of the mango, and that production, that mango is you sold in the market and you earn the revenue from such mango. So guys, tree that is from that we can earn the profit, and trees that are live more than the 12 months, that tree are a bearer tree or bearer plant, and in such case that tree are considered as a property plant and equipment. So guys, not bearer plant means a plant cultivated to be harvested as a agricultural produce. Say for example, wheat production, bajra production, sweet corn production. In such case, that plant is cultivated for the 3 to 4 months or 4 to 5 months. Guys, that plant is not a bearer plant for me, because every time when I produce wheat, bajra and sweet corn, plant are demolished by me, and again I harvest the new seeds for the growing the wheat, bajra and sweet corn. But is this happen in the case of the mango manufacturing, coconut manufacturing, almond manufacturing? No guys, because if I plant a mango tree, coconut tree or almond tree, that tree gives me a production for the period of minimum 10 to 15 years. So guys, I don't require to cut down the tree every year, and not required to cultivate the every year new mango tree for the production of the mango. So guys, this is a basic thin line difference between the bearer plant and non-bearer plant. So guys, there is also chances to ask the question in the examination on bearer plant versus non-bearer plant, so we can also ready from this perspective also. So guys, now we discuss the recognition principle laid down by the accounting standard 10. I have shown in the very simple manner. I have drawn a here diagram as you can see on the screen. In that diagram I can write down that property, plant and equipment recognized as an asset if the following both conditions are satisfied. What condition that are? First condition is probable future economic benefit associated with item will flow to the entity, and second is a cost of the item can be measured by the reliably. So guys, if these two conditions are satisfied, in such case I recognize that asset as a property, plant and equipment asset. So guys, say for example, there is a manufacturing plant, and in such manufacturing plant there are so many assets are required for the manufacturing of a particular product. So in such case, can I earn the future economic benefit from such asset? Yes, because in production plant there is a asset is a primary requirement in the manufacturing of the any product. So guys, from using that asset I can gain the probable future economic benefit. And second condition is cost of item can be reliably measured. So we have purchase price of the machinery, transportation cost of the machinery, installation cost of the machinery, trial run cost of the machinery, and other safety measures are installed for the operating of the machinery. So these all costs are together and become the cost of the asset, and that is reliably measured and easily measurable. So guys, if these two conditions are satisfied, then the any asset are considered or recognized as a property, plant and equipment as per accounting standard 10. This is a recognition principle that we already discussed in previous slide. So here I come up with some example. What is about the spare part and standby equipment? So if standby equipment and spare part satisfy both of the above condition, then in such case they are a property, plant and equipment. If they are not satisfy such condition, then AS2 inventory standard is applicable in such case. So guys, next, what is What about the repair and maintenance cost? Firstly, we see the nature of the repair and maintenance cost. Is they are incurred day to day? If answer is yes, then recognize that recognize that cost as a expenses in profit and loss. And your answer is no. In such case, it form part of the asset. So guys, next is what is the replacement part? If that replacement part are satisfied the above two condition, then we can recognize that part as a asset, and if that condition are not satisfied that asset, then we can treat it as a revenue expenditure. So guys, next, how to determine the carrying cost? So guys, determination of the carrying cost is similar with the determination of the cost of the raw material as we discussed in the cost accounting standard. So guys, we know that under cost accounting standard there is a standard on the material cost. In such cost accounting standard, learn that how to determine the cost of the material. So guys, material is a basically inventory for us, and property, plant and equipment is a asset for us. So guys, material, when we purchase the material, what cost should we consider? So first of all, purchase price of the material, then transportation cost of the material, then any cost which can be directly attributable to such material. If goods are imported out of India, then import duty on such goods or any non-refundable taxes. That all cost also consider here, but here one additional cost we also consider, cost of the dismantling or removing the existing plant. So if I have an old asset in my organization and I buy a new asset, but before the installation of the new asset, I must have to dismantle the existing asset. So guys, when I dismantling that existing asset, I incurred the some cost. That cost also consider in the cost of the new plant and machinery, new asset. So guys, that cost also incur here. And two item are deducted from here. That item also deducted while we purchase the raw material, that is discount and rebate. We also deduct from there and we also deduct from here. So guys, I link this concept with our cost accounting standard laid down on the material cost. So you can easily understand what cost should we consider while we find out the carrying amount of the any asset, because in examination there are no chances what they are asked in the examination. So we are prepared from all point of view of such accounting standard. So guys, here also I can give you the example of the directly attributable cost, the cost of the site preparation, initial delivery or handling cost, next installation cost, trial run cost, professional fees, cost of the employee benefit or other involved. These carrying costs are recognized at the time of the asset, are recognized in the balance sheet as a property, plant and equipment. So guys, after recognition there are two methods of the valuation. Entity either choice out of that two method. First method is cost model and second method is revaluation model. Formula of both model are same, but when we use the cost model, carrying amount of such asset, and when we use the revaluation model, we use the fair value as on date of the revaluation. So guys, note on measurement of the cost at initial recognition. So here I can list the 6 items that are very basic item and that are very easy to understand. Guys, if you are understand this item one by one, you can tackle any question in the examination. So it is very important to understand the measurement of the cost of the initial recognition. So generally cash price of the asset as on date of the recognition shall be considered while measuring the cost. So next point is, if payment made after the expiry of the credit period, in such case I can add the interest and capitalize such expenses by adding it in the cost of the asset. So next, property, plant and equipment acquired in exchange of non-monetary asset or combination of the non-monetary asset. In such case there are two situations. First situation is exchange transaction have commercial substance, and second part of the situation first is fair value of asset is reliably measurable. If these two content are present there, then fair value of the asset received is more clearly evident, then fair value of the asset received shall take as a cost at the time of the initial recognition. If fair value of the asset is not clearly evident, then fair value of the asset given up are considered. So next situation is exchange transaction lack commercial substance and fair value of the asset is not reliably measurable. In such case, carrying amount of the asset giving up are considered here. So guys, next fourth point is property, plant and equipment purchased as a consolidated price. In such case, there is also two scenario. First scenario is fair value of the item acquired can be measured reliably at the date of the acquisition, and scenario 2 is a fair value of the item acquired cannot be measurable reliably at the time of the date of acquisition. So first scenario, in first scenario, how we determine the initial cost of the initial recognition? We use the formula consideration received multiplied by the fair value of the individual item divided by fair value of the all item. So that outcome or resulted amount is a cost of the initial recognition. So next is scenario 2. Scenario 2 is a fair value of the item acquired cannot be measured reliably. In such case, value estimated on the fair basis as determined by the competent valuer. So guys, fifth point is item of the property, plant and equipment held by a lessee under the finance lease. In such case, we can determine the cost under the accounting standard 19. And next is government grant are received. In such case, carrying amount of the asset are reduced by the government grant amount. So now we can discuss principle of the revaluation. Under the principle of the revaluation, we understand that how to determine the fair value of the asset. There is a two situation: market based price are evidence or market based price are not evident. So if market based price are evidenced by the appraisal, then the fair value is a market based price that is available in the market. So if no market based price is there present, in such case we can use the income approach or depreciation replacement approach or any other approach as prescribed by the accounting standard 10. So guys, frequency of the revaluation, this is most important part. If property, plant and equipment is a significant or volatile, in such case annual revaluation are made. If property, plant and equipment is only insignificant, then revaluation of the such property, plant and equipment are made within the 3 to 5 years. So guys, if an item of the property, plant and equipment is revalued, the entire class of the property, plant and equipment which that asset belongs should be revalued. Suppose there is a 4 motor vehicle as a property, plant and equipment in my balance sheet, but I want to revalue only one of such motor vehicle as on 31st March 2020. Is this possible? No guys. I must revalue that 4 assets as on 31st March 2020. So only revision of the single asset of the class of the asset is not permitted under the accounting standard 10. On this point, there is also chances to ask the question in the examination. So guys, one part is pending from me, that is treatment of accumulated depreciation. That part is provided in the notes. You can go through that notes. Treatment is very easy. One part on this accounting standard is also pending, that is depreciation. That part is very easy. Learn in the 12th examination or BCom, MCom level or in foundation. Same depreciation are also here. So guys, if you want any video on the any topics of the CMA, enter or final, please comment in the comment box. So guys, thank you for watching the video. I sum up my video here, and stay at home, stay safe, and also follow the instruction given by the central government time to time. And our next video is for CMA final. That is government accounting standard. Bye bye, take care, and subscribe our channel and also press bell icon so that you can get all our update. Thank you guys.